Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching this video. I promise to be merciful and keep it short. So, besides having no audience to feed off of, I have no idea what a DIY retirement video should be. It's not a genre I've even ever heard of before. But even so, when Billy first asked me to do this, I knew instinctively exactly what I wanted to say. I've been so happy at Rutgers. I just want to thank you all for that. And that's really it, except that I do want to spell out what I'm grateful for in at least some minimal detail. For starters, you made it possible for me to finally live with my wife, Diane Sadoff, after 11 years of commuting. And what a profound difference that's made. If you've driven up and down I-75 to be with your soulmate for that length of time, you'd know what I'm talking about. That's really the fundamental reason I've been happy here and that I've never regretted coming here, not for a nanosecond. But there are many, many other reasons as well. You also made me feel genuinely valued as a colleague. I had not had that before. So again, what a profound difference. You were and you are an extraordinary intellectual community. So there's that, which is no small thing. The intellectual energy here has made it a very productive 15 years for me. But what's been equally important too has been the integrity of the departmental culture. From the very start, I was amazed by how healthy the conversation was, especially when people disagreed with one another. For the most part, you all plainly speak your minds and tell each other the truth, even when that's hard, for the most part. I was amazed when I came here too, that the department wasn't factionalized, with a lot of people just parroting whatever their own faction's line happens to be. So if I have any advice to the department, it would be, don't ever lose that. It's precious, and it can slip away really quickly if you're not careful. So I regret now turning the rest of this video into an extended Academy Awards speech, but I do want to single out a few people to whom I'm especially grateful. I just wouldn't want to say goodbye to Rutgers without telling them publicly how much I appreciate them. Starting with Richard Miller. I'm not sure, Richard, that you ever really knew how thankful I was and how thankful I still am that you hired me, and that you got the Mellon funding that made my hire and several others possible. And then you trusted me with an important administrative position, which I will always think of as the capstone to my career. We had a couple of dust-ups that happens in administrative life, but for everything you did for me, I'm eternally grateful. Carolyn Williams, always a wonderful Victorianist colleague, but also an incredibly supportive chair. Such great intuition about other people's needs and always ready to volunteer solutions to every conceivable problem. A terrific reader of my work. And also the maker of the most potent gin and tonic in the world. But in particular, I've always appreciated your trust, which you have a way of making people feel they've earned, even in my case, whether they actually have or not. Jonas Siegel, another wonderful fellow Victorianist. But what I'll remember most is how you always had my back when you were chair and I was DGS. You were a rock. You stood with me in every crisis. You never stopped telling me that I was imagining most of them. But when the real ones did come along, I have to say it was always great fun trooping over with you to SAS to duke it out with a certain deanlet to remain unnamed. Anyway, the biblical Jonah brings nothing but trouble, but you are the exact opposite. How a man of your excellent judgment can like bubble tea is a complete mystery, but then that's another matter. Rebecca Walkowitz, I'm so grateful for your support too, and for your good sense, and not least for your fine perception of ironies, personal as well as professional. I'll never forget the strength of mind and spirit that I've always admired and relied on in you. And I'm so glad I had a hand in helping steal you away from a rival university back in 2007. I think I should get a building named after me for that. Kurt Spellmeyer, what can I say? You were always so wise, so devoted to the institution, and also so easy to work with. so level-headed, good-tempered. I'm especially grateful to you for helping me do the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I am totally serious, in my entire life. For you, this was just all in a day's work, but for me, it was epic. So this is bragging, okay? There had to be some in this video, but I like to think it's humble bragging since I'm sharing the credit here with Kurt. I'm thinking about the fact that you and I got SIS to guarantee a 7th year of funding for English graduate students. English is the only department in SAS that has that deal, and generations of our students have been the beneficiaries. For Kurt, this was just one benign act in a lifetime of service, and I've never even heard him take the public credit for it that he deserves. But for me, that'll be a memory that warms my old age like no other, as long as I have a memory, that is. Billy Galprin gave me all kinds of help and companionship, especially during one memorable crisis of departmental leadership when we were reluctantly forced to collaborate on something neither of us really wanted to do. Enough said. But really, you've been invaluable in all sorts of intellectual, emotional, and personal ways. I'll especially miss our end-of-the-year debriefings of all things departmental over at Arthur's. Although, those stakes probably doubled my carbon footprint for the year, so the planet is really much better off without that ritual of ours. Michael McKeon has been a wonderful friend and colleague, as well as a happy hour companion beyond compare. Also, a great co-conspirator once in a while, most consequentially when we were working together with a few other colleagues on founding the Rutgers British Studies Center. I think we won a Mellon grant for that, but who's keeping track? You were also amazingly generous, helping me get settled when I first arrived, and a great source of departmental insight ever since. It's been an honor to be your colleague and your friend. Lauren Goodlad, our overlap at Rutgers has been short, but very sweet. It was a pleasure to serve as your mentor, although it was slightly ridiculous since the mentoring could very well have gone the other way. I think this video is just for faculty consumption, but I have to mention Cheryl Robinson and Courtney Borak. The staff in Murray as a whole has been terrific, of course, but I had a special working relationship with Cheryl and Courtney for 6 years. Everybody already knows how wonderful they are. I don't need to remind you of that. But the amazing thing is that the more closely you work with them, the more wonderful you discover them to be. I wish I could still look forward to seeing them both every day. There have been so many other great friends and colleagues. I fear I'll offend some of you by leaving you off this roll call, but I do want to at least mention Meredith McGill, Emily Bartels, Lynn Festa, David Kernick, Colin Yeager, and Henry Turner, who've all been good friends and close working partners. Like everyone, I miss Cheryl Wall and always will. Other friends like Michelle Stevens have moved on to bigger things, and some have retired, like Barry Qualls and Marianne DeKoven, and George Levine, who still has lunch with me once a month or so. I'm sorry I only have time to mention my closest colleagues because the whole department has been so full of friends. So this litany of thanks has been a way of saying how much I'll miss you all. But I will see you around, I hope, at a lecture from time to time, assuming that someday we get to have those again, or maybe in the library. I fully intend to keep writing. You should check out my essay on the female political buildings roman, forthcoming in Novel, in fact, or the piece on Samuel Butler that I'm working on right now. I say that just in case you thought I was already dead. And then finally, just because I can, let me share a few treasured photos with you that bring back memories for me and may for some of you too. So the first is a picture of me in my faculty office at Murray, taken sometime during the last few years. I think this photo was taken by Kate Flint, as a matter of fact, so it actually must have been a while ago. Could have been any time in the last 40 years, though, really. Such a shame. This is what I'm giving up. I hope I don't regret it. And then this is one thing that I will definitely never miss. And then finally, this is what the grad office looks like on a rainy day. Or maybe that was a sunny day, who knows? With the infrastructure of Murray Hall, it can be hard to tell. That's something I will fondly not miss at all. But David, if you want to know where the circuit breaker box is next time your power cuts out, just give me a call. So anyway, sad as it is to go, I do feel so fortunate to have been part of the Murray universe for all these years. And I hope to stay in touch with a great many of you and to hear stories from you about life back in the trenches. You can feel free to call me some snowy day and complain while I'm hanging out, say, in Sonoma, sipping a peppery Cabernet Franc, or maybe an earthy Mataro while you're grading papers. I promise not to rub it in. I would never do that. So for better or worse, this is it. I'm not going out with a bang of some kind. I'll just say to all of you what Joe Gargery often said to Pip: "What larks?"